Hey guys, it's Colin here, and I want to talk about what happened in Washington D.C. Now, you think all the media outlets would have you think they would have covered the March for Life? I've heard numbers from 100,000 people to hundreds of thousands of people, all the way up to 600,000 people, which is crazy because I mean, if you watch the news, like if you watch news outlets, they don't talk about how many people actually think that abortion should be illegal. And just putting it out there, in my opinion, I don't like abortion. I think it's wrong. But then again, like it's not my choice. It's not my body. So like I'm not gonna sit here and tell people what to do with a child they don't want. I think adoption's a way better option than, killing an unborn child. But besides that point, there was a big march. Like I said, hundreds of thousands of people were there. I planned on going, but I had to work this weekend, which sucked. But a conflict broke out with a Catholic school or Catholic school teenagers and the Black Israelites. And the very first video that came out it looked bad on the Catholic students. Like they looked like they were mocking the Black Israelites. But then, of course, like CNN, all them, the left wing media outlets didn't want to cover the March for Our Lives. So instead, they picked this story, and they picked on Ben Shapiro for like propaganda, agenda pushing, and so they released the video, and it looked really bad. But then later down the road, the full video came out. It was like 2 hours long. It was a crazy long video, but you saw that the Black Israelites were the ones instigating the conflict. They were shouting racist stuff, telling the teens to go back to Europe, calling them crackers, like just a bunch of nasty things, and it was wrong. And CNN, they ended up interviewing the Native American. I believe he was a Vietnam War veteran. He was in the Marines, which I respect anybody in the military, but he went on CNN and lied about what happened. Like he said it was full of like racism and hatred, which, I mean, if you watch the video, they didn't say anything until one kid from the Catholic school wanted to jump in and say something to the Native American. But the kid that's being targeted all over Twitter, he turned around and told the kid not to engage, and he ended up releasing a statement. I'm about to read that to you guys because I find this crazy, like, that this came out. He said, "I'm providing the factual account of what happened on Friday afternoon at the Lincoln Memorial to correct misinformation and outright lies being spread about my family and me. I'm the student in the video who was confronted by the Native American protester. I arrived at the Lincoln Memorial at 4:30 p.m. I was told to be there by 5:30 p.m. when our buses were due to leave Washington for the trip back to Kentucky. We had been attending the March for Life rally and then had to split up into small groups to do sightseeing. When we arrived, we noticed 4 African American protesters who were also on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. I'm not sure what they were protesting, and I did not interact with them. I did hear them direct derogatory insults at our school group. The protesters used hateful things. They called us racist, bigots, white crackers, faggots, and incest kids. They also taunted an African American student from my school by telling him that we would harvest his organs. Ugh. I have no idea what that insult means, but it was startling to hear. Because we were being loudly attacked and taunted in public, a student in our group asked one of our teacher chaperones for permission to begin our school's spirit chants to counter the hateful things that were being shouted at our group. The chants were commonly used at sporting events. They're all positive in nature and sound like what you would hear at any high school. Our chaperone gave us permission to use our school chants. We would not have done that without obtaining permission from the adults in charge of our group. At no time did I hear any student chant anything other than the school spirit chants. I did not witness or hear any students chant build the wall or any hateful or racist at any time. Assertions to the contrary are simply false. Our chants were loud because we wanted to drown out the hateful comments that were being shouted at us. After a few minutes of chanting, the Native American protesters who I hadn't previously noticed approached our group. The Native American protesters had drums and were accompanied by at least one person with a camera. The protester everyone has seen in the video began playing his drum as he waded into the crowd, which parted for him. I did not see anyone try to block his path. He locked eyes with me and approached me, coming within inches of my face. He played his drum the entire time he was in my face. I never interacted with this protester. I did not speak to him. I did not make any hand gestures or any aggressive moves. To be honest, I was startled and confused as to why he had approached me. We had already been yelled at by any other group of protesters, and when the second group approached, I was worried with the situation, or that the situation was getting out of control where adults were attempting to provoke teenagers. Now, before I go any farther, what CNN and all the left-wing media outlets and what Phillips said in the interview, this is not what he said happened. He said basically the complete opposite. And now I'm going to go on because I just had to say that just because I think that's crazy. I believe that by remaining motionless and calm, I was helping to defuse the situation. I realized everyone had cameras and that perhaps a group of adults was trying to provoke a group of teenagers into a large conflict. I say a silent prayer that the situation would not get out of hand. And once again, before I go on, this was an older man. I want to say he looks like he's in his 60s, maybe 70s. And he approached the little or not the little kid, he's a teenager. But another reason why I think this is getting so much attention by left-wing media outlets is because they don't like the idea of religion. And right now, Catholics have a bad name on them because of what happened with, the Catholic priest and the little kids. I don't really want to go into too much of it because it makes me sick to my stomach, but they don't push for, they don't like the idea of religion. They kind of go back on it and talk, it's just bad. I'm gonna keep reading. During the period of the drummer, a member of the protesters' entourage began yelling at a fellow student that we stole our land and that we should go back to Europe. I heard one of my fellow students begin to respond. I mentioned to my classmate and tried to get him to stop engaging with the protesters, as I was still in the mindset that we needed to calm down tensions. Now, to me, it sounds like this kid wanted to stop what was going on or what he believed was going to happen, and that's why you saw him just he didn't say anything to the guy. He was just letting him beat his drum in his face. And also, he was probably intimidated because he was a much older guy, and he's still in high school. I never felt like I was blocking the Native American protester. He did not make any attempt to go around me. It was clear to me that he had singled me out for a confrontation, although I am not sure why. The engagement ended when one of our teachers told me the buses had arrived and it was time to go. I obeyed my teacher and simply walked to the buses. At that moment, I thought I had diffused the situation by remaining calm. I was thankful nothing physical had occurred. I never understood why either of the two group of protesters were engaging with us or exactly what they were protesting at the Lincoln Memorial. We were simply there to meet a bus, not to become central players in a media spectacle. This is the first time in my life I've ever encountered any sort of public protest, let alone this kind of confrontation, demonstration. Now, I can tell you why they attacked the Catholic school. One, they're Catholic. Two, is a majority of them were white. I mean, if you saw in the video, a lot of them were white. I think they had an African American boy, and in the video they were shouting the N-word at him, which is messed up. I don't like that either. I don't care if you're white shouting it at him or if you're black. You have that right to say it, but yet CNN won't talk about that. They're taking the Native American Phillips side because the Catholic school, they're Catholic and they're white. A lot of BuzzFeed reporters, a lot of New York Times reporters, Huffington Post reporters, or journalists, they were talking about white privilege. That's always their excuse. There's no such thing as white privilege. If you live in America, you're more than likely privileged unless you're homeless or something. But to continue on, I was not intentionally making faces at the protester. I did smile at one point because I wanted him to know that I was not going to become angry, intimidated, or be provoked into a larger confrontation. I am a faithful Christian and practicing Catholic. I always try to live up to the ideals my faith teaches me, to remain respectful of others, and to take no action that would lead to conflict or violence. I harbor no ill will for this person. I respect this person's right to protest and engage in free speech activities, and I supported his chanting on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial any day of the week. I believe he should rethink his tactics of invading the personal space of others, but that is his choice to make. See, any person, if somebody got up in their grill like that, probably would have, tried to throw a punch or push him away or something like that. And I think that's what Phillips wanted the kid to do. I think he was trying to provoke him, and it's good that the kid didn't do that because he could have gotten in serious trouble for that. So Kudos to him. I am being called every name in the book, including a racist, and I will not stand for this mob-like character assassination of my family's name. My parents were not on the trip, and I strive to represent my family in a respectable way in all public settings. Oh, one more thing. He's a family man, and a lot of people who support Republicans are family oriented. You know, like the common, father, mother, family, like, yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. I think that's another reason why the left is pushing him. Like, it's a lot of little things in between that the left doesn't like. Family oriented movies, anything that pushes anything that's like regarding to the right, they don't like. I received physical and death threats via social media as well as hateful insults. One person threatened to harm me at school, and one person claims to live in my neighborhood. My parents are receiving death and professional threats because of this social media mob that has formed over this issue. I love my school, my teachers, my classmates. I've worked hard to achieve good grades and participate in several extracurricular activities. I'm mortified that so many people have come to believe something that did not happen. That students from my school were chanting or acting in a racist fashion toward African Americans or Native Americans. I did not do that. Do not have hateful feelings in my heart, and I did not witness any of my classmates doing that. See, this is where they're not gonna believe the kid just because his skin color is white. And now, like, for me, like, I've had people tell me that I'm not black, and I'm like, my mom's white, my dad's black. I've had a lot of people tell me that I'm not black just because of what I believe in. And like, I don't believe anybody should say the N-word, whether it ends with the A or the ER. I don't care if you're black or white. You shouldn't say it. You have that right to say it. I will defend you on that you have the right to say it. Like, people who have called me the hard R, yes, they would make me mad. I wouldn't provoke them, but I would defend their right to free speech. And like, that's why I don't really believe in, like, to me there's something called hate speech, but not legally defined as hate speech. Like, there's no legal definition of hate speech. But I do believe that, like, there are hate crimes, that's a crime. But just because somebody calls you, like, the hard R, or you call somebody, like, you call a white person a racist name, or you call a cop a pig or something, it's like hate speech to a certain extent. No, nobody should be punished for what they say. Those are birthrights. Should have those. I cannot speak for everyone, only for myself, but I can tell you my experience with Covington Catholic is that students are respectable of all races and culture. We also support everyone's right to free speech. And see, that's one thing about religion, is that there's moral principle. There's a lot of, even if you don't like all right, so say you aren't religious. What you're like, our government is based off of like moral principles, and that comes from religion. Like, that's all I'm gonna say about that, because a lot of people who hate religion, how they live their life is based off of principles from religion. I read that Mr. Phillips is a veteran of the United States Marines. I thank him for his service, and am grateful to anyone who puts on the uniform and defends our nation. If anyone has earned the right to speak freely, it is the U.S. Marine veteran. See, he even feels not sorry, but he feels, what's the word I'm looking for? He's thankful for the veteran, because, I mean, everyone should respect our military. That's why I don't like people who use kneeling for the flag as like agenda pushing. It's their right to protest, but I don't like it, just because to me the flag is oriented with not just our country, but with our military who defends our country. And he's even thanking Mr. Phillips for his service and time and fighting in the Vietnam War. I'm actually like super surprised CNN posted what he said. I can only speak for myself and what I observed and felt at the time, but I would caution everyone passing judgment based on a few seconds of video to watch the longer video clips that are on the internet, as they show a much different story than is being portrayed by people with agendas. I provided this account of events to the Diocese of Covington, so they may know exactly what happened, and I stand ready and willing to cooperate with any investigation they are concluding. There should be no investigation for this incident. Nothing illegal happened. There were no punches thrown, no assaults. It's just the left got their feelings hurt and they're letting someone lie to push their agenda. Like I'm pretty sure. I don't think this was set up, but this was the same weekend as March for Life. They weren't covering that because it's not what they push. It's not their agenda. Like, so anyways, off that point, I just think left-wing media outlets have an issue with pushing like what they want to see, like what they believe in, probably what they're getting paid for, or what they're getting paid to do. Hollywood's over there. I think Hollywood has an agenda too, but I also think they have supporters telling them what to say and what to do. Like, there's not one Hollywood actor or star or sports star that I've seen like support Trump, say anything good about Trump. The only thing I've seen come out of Hollywood was when John Krasinski did what's that movie? A Quiet Place, and that movie's based on family. It's family oriented. That's the only thing I've really seen come out of Hollywood that had something to do with the right side. I find it a little bit despicable because ever since ever since Trump came into office, I know media has been pushing false narratives and saying a lot of false stuff way before Trump, but ever since Trump came into the picture, it's like boom, the tide has turned like terribly. Like, I know Schumer and Pelosi both wanted a wall I think it was like a decade before Trump got even into office. Like, Obama recognized that we have an immigration issue. He ended up messing that up, but I think it's crazy absurd that all this is going down. And I wanted to make this video because I can't even have like my own opinion because it's not the black opinion. And yet a lot of black people that I've talked to, they like Trump. The employment rate for African Americans is at an all-time low. Now the only issue that we need to fix is single mothers, single fathers, because that's starting to grow as an issue in the United States. But yeah, I wanted to make this video. I'm gonna make more on this kind of stuff just to give you guys my input. Just because I hate saying this, but I want to give you guys like a half white, a half black guy his opinion on stuff, especially when it comes to politics, because I don't think like other people. But thank you guys for watching. I'm definitely gonna make a lot more videos. If you guys like them, leave a like, subscribe, comment. Definitely, I wanna see what you guys like, see what your opinions are about. But you see it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again.